I wake up to the soft hum of the air conditioner, the first light of dawn filtering through the curtains. Emily is still beside me, her body a familiar shape under the sheets. I reach over, my hand brushing her shoulder, feeling the warmth of her skin. She stirs slightly, a murmur escaping her lips, but she doesn't wake. I lie there for a moment, watching her, the peaceful rise and fall of her chest. It's in these quiet moments that I feel most content. 27 years of marriage have given us this: comfort, routine, a sense of belonging. I slip out of bed, careful not to disturb her, and head downstairs. The house is silent, the kind of silence that comes with years of familiarity. I know every creak of the floorboards, every sound the appliances make as they wake up with the house. I start the coffee, the aroma filling the kitchen, grounding me in the normalcy of the morning. Emily joins me a few minutes later, her hair tousled, a robe loosely tied around her waist. She smiles, but there's something distant in her eyes. I've noticed it more often lately, that distracted look as if she's somewhere else, lost in thoughts she doesn't share with me. I push the worry aside. We've been through rough patches before, and we've always come out stronger. We sit at the table, sipping coffee, the silence between us comfortable but weighted. She's scrolling through her phone, her fingers moving quickly over the screen. I catch a glimpse of a text notification before she angles the screen away. It's a small thing, but it tugs at something inside me. I force myself to look away, not wanting to pry. "How's the new project going?" I ask, breaking the silence. "It's good," she replies, but her voice lacks enthusiasm. "Just busy." I nod, trying to engage her. "Maybe we could take a weekend away once things calm down." "Just the two of us." She looks up, her smile returning, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "That sounds nice." As she heads upstairs to get ready, I linger at the table, my coffee growing cold. There's a nagging feeling I can't shake, a sense that something is off. But I've learned not to jump to conclusions. Emily's always been a bit of a mystery, and I've always trusted her to come back to me when she's ready. Later that day, as I go through the mail, I notice a credit card statement with a charge that catches my eye. A hotel in another city, a charge from last weekend when she said she was visiting a friend. I feel a cold knot form in my stomach. When I ask her about it, she pauses, then shrugs it off, saying it was a mistake. Probably a billing error. She's dismissive, almost too casual. But the doubt lingers, gnawing at me, growing with each passing moment. I come home early one afternoon, the house unusually quiet. I'm expecting Emily to be in her studio, surrounded by canvases and paint, lost in her world as she usually is. Instead, I hear faint sounds from our bedroom upstairs. Drawers opening, the soft rustle of fabric. I head up the stairs, each step heavy with a sense of unease. The bedroom door is half open, and I see Emily standing by the closet, a suitcase open on the bed. My heart skips a beat. The scene's so out of place, so wrong. She's carefully folding clothes, packing them with an air of finality. It takes me a moment to find my voice. "What's going on, Emily?" I ask, trying to keep the rising panic from my tone. She doesn't look at me. Her movements are precise, deliberate. "I'm leaving," she says quietly, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. I step into the room, the air thick with tension. "Leaving? What do you mean you're leaving? Where are you going?" She finally turns to face me, her expression calm, almost detached. "I'm going to Spain, with Enrique." The name hits me like a punch to the gut. Enrique, the art teacher she met during her last trip. I remember her talking about him, her eyes lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in years. I had brushed it off as artistic admiration, nothing more. But now, hearing his name in this context, it all starts to make a sickening kind of sense. "You're leaving me? For him?" The words feel foreign, like they belong to someone else, not me. This isn't my life. This isn't my wife. She doesn't flinch, doesn't try to soften the blow. "Yes," she says simply, as if she's announcing a mundane fact. I'm blindsided, reeling. I can't process what she's saying. This woman, this life we've built together, it's all unraveling before my eyes. Emily, we've been married for 27 years. You can't just walk away. We can fix this. Whatever it is, we can work through it. She shakes her head, her expression resolute. It's not that simple. I need something different. Something more. I've felt trapped for a long time, and I didn't even realize it until now. Enrique understands me in a way that you never have. The words cut deep, each one a fresh wound. I feel the ground shifting beneath me, everything I thought I knew slipping away. But why now? Why like this? She pauses as if considering how much to say. I've been thinking about it for months. I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't live this lie anymore. I'm sorry. Sorry? The word tastes bitter in my mouth. You're sorry? You're blowing up our life? And all you can say is you're sorry? She looks down, unable to meet my gaze. I didn't plan for it to happen this way. But I can't stay here, living a life that doesn't feel like mine. I'm desperate, grasping at anything that might bring her back from this ledge. We can go to therapy. We can take a trip together. Just the two of us. We can figure this out, Emily. Please. She shakes her head again, more firmly this time. No, I've made up my mind. I'm leaving tonight. The finality in her voice crushes any hope I have left. She turns back to the suitcase, sipping it up with a decisive motion. I stand there numb, watching as she prepares to walk out of our life. I don't know what to say, what to do. Everything is slipping through my fingers, and I'm powerless to stop it. Is there anything else you want to say to me? I ask, my voice barely more than a whisper. She hesitates, then looks at me with an expression that's almost pitying. I wish things were different, but I have to do this. For me. I want to scream, to shake her, to make her see what she's doing. But instead, I stand there, helpless, as she grabs the suitcase and heads for the door. My mind is racing, 1,000 thoughts colliding. Anger, betrayal, disbelief. This isn't happening. It can't be real. As she reaches the door, she pauses, glancing back at me one last time. I'm sorry, she says again, and this time it feels like a slap in the face. I don't respond. I can't. The words are trapped in my throat, choking me. I watch as she walks down the stairs, the sound of her suitcase wheels rolling over the hardwood floor, echoing through the house like a death knell. I follow her to the front door, my movements slow, robotic. She opens it, the late afternoon sunlight flooding the entryway, casting long shadows across the floor. She steps outside and, for a moment, I think she's going to turn back, that she'll change her mind. But she doesn't. She walks to the car, loads the suitcase into the trunk, and gets in. The engine starts with a low rumble, and then she's gone, driving away without a backward glance. I'm left standing in the doorway, the cool air brushing against my skin, but I don't feel it. I don't feel anything. It's like the world has been drained of color, of life. I'm in a daze, my mind struggling to catch up with what just happened. I close the door, the sound echoing in the empty house. I lean against it, my head spinning. How did it come to this? What did I miss? I replay the last few months in my head, trying to piece together the clues, but it's all a blur. I'm grasping at straws, desperate for answers that aren't there. My phone buzzes in my pocket, pulling me out of my thoughts. I pull it out, seeing a message from Emily. It's brief, almost clinical. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce. I'm sorry it had to be this way. I stare at the screen, the words blurring as tears well up in my eyes. Divorce. The word hits me like a sledgehammer, the finality of it crushing. This is real. This is happening. I slide down the door, sitting on the floor, my head in my hands. My world is collapsing around me, and I don't know how to stop it. For hours I sit there, the house growing darker as the sun sets. I'm numb, my mind a storm of emotions. Anger, sadness, betrayal. I want to scream, to break something, but I'm too drained to move. All I can do is sit there, replaying the day's events over and over, each time hoping for a different outcome, but knowing there isn't one. Finally, as the clock ticks past midnight, I force myself to move. I can't stay here, wallowing in this pain. I need to do something, anything, to make sense of this. I need to understand why she left, why she did this to us. I walk through the house, my footsteps echoing in the empty rooms. Everything looks the same, but nothing feels right. I go to our bedroom, the bed still unmade from this morning, her scent lingering in the air. I sit on the edge, my hand brushing the spot where she slept, where she should be sleeping now. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it was only this morning. I glance at her side of the bed, noticing something out of place. A piece of paper folded neatly, with my name written on it in her handwriting. My heart skips a beat as I reach for it, my hands trembling. I unfold it slowly, the words blurring as I try to focus. John, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, but I can't stay. I need to find myself again, and I can't do that here. Please understand. Love, Emily. The note falls from my hands, fluttering to the floor. Love. The word feels hollow, meaningless. If she loved me, how could she do this? How could she throw away everything we've built, everything we've been through? I pick up the note, my fingers crumpling the paper. It's a pathetic excuse, a feeble attempt to justify the unjustifiable. I feel a surge of anger, hot and raw, rising from deep within me. I've given her everything, my love, my trust, my life, and this is how she repays me? But as quickly as the anger flares, it fades, leaving behind a deep, aching void. I'm alone, truly alone, for the first time in 27 years. The woman I've shared my life with, the woman I've loved unconditionally, is gone, and she's not coming back. I stand up, the note still clutched in my hand. I don't know what to do, where to go from here, but one thing is clear, I can't just let this go. I need answers. I need to know why. And I won't stop until I find them. I walk to the window, staring out into the darkness. Somewhere out there, Emily is starting a new life, without me. But this isn't just about an affair, about a marriage falling apart. There's something more, something she's not telling me. And I'm going to find out what it is, no matter what it takes. As I stand there, a resolve. The morning after Emily leaves, I'm in a daze. The house is too quiet, too empty, and every corner seems haunted by her absence. I can't sit still. I move through the rooms, picking up objects, putting them down, trying to make sense of what's happened. My mind is racing, grasping for answers that don't exist. How did I miss this? How did I not see it coming? I'm not the type to just let things go. I need closure. I need to understand. And I need to know why she did this to me. I go to her studio, the place where she spent so many hours, and it feels like a violation, stepping into her private world now that she's gone. The air smells faintly of paint, and her latest work is still on the easel, half finished. I stare at it, trying to see some hidden message in the brushstrokes, something that might explain her sudden departure. But it's just colors and shapes, meaningless to me. I grab her laptop from the desk and sit down, my hands shaking slightly as I open it. She's always been protective of her passwords, but I know her well enough. I try a few combinations of our anniversary, her favorite artist, and finally the name of her first dog. The screen unlocks, and I'm in. I start with her emails, scanning through the usual mundane messages, newsletters, updates from galleries, a few conversations with friends. Then I see his name, Enrique. The subject line reads, "Thinking of you." My heart pounds as I click on it, the words on the screen blurring for a moment before coming into focus. Emily, I can't wait until we're together again. Every moment apart feels like a lifetime. When you're in Spain, it will all make sense. You belong here, with me. The words are like a punch to the gut. I scroll down, finding more messages, more exchanges filled with plans, with declarations of love. She's been planning this for months, maybe longer. It's not just an affair, it's a new life, one she's been building without me. I keep digging, opening folders, searching through files. There's a whole series of emails between her and Enrique, discussing finances, transfers of large sums of money, references to accounts I've never heard of. My mind spins. What is all this? What has she gotten herself into? I find a document labeled Travel Plans and open it. It's an itinerary for her trip to Spain, but there's more. Notes about buying property, setting up a studio there, and something about a shipment. I don't understand it all, but it's clear this isn't just about her art. There's something else, something that doesn't sit right. I don't know where to start. My first instinct is to call her, to demand answers, but I know she won't pick up. She's made her choice. So I do the only thing I can think of. I hire a private investigator. If Emily has been hiding this much from me, there's no telling what else is going on. I need someone who can dig deeper, find out what she's really up to. I meet the investigator, a man named Harris, in a dimly lit bar downtown. He's sharp, professional, and asks all the right questions. I give him everything I found, the emails, the travel plans, the financial records. He takes it all without a word, just a curt nod, and tells me he'll be in touch. Days pass, each one dragging slower than the last. I go through the motions at work, but my mind is elsewhere, replaying every interaction with Emily, every detail of our life together, trying to see where things went wrong. I'm haunted by the thought that our entire marriage was a lie, that she was always planning to leave, that I was just a convenient stop along the way. Harris calls me late one night, his voice low and serious. "I've got something for you," he says. "Meet me at my office." I drive there, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles are white. I park outside a nondescript building and take the elevator up to Harris's office, a small, cluttered space with files stacked on every surface. He gestures for me to sit, then hands me a folder. "Your wife has been busy," he says, and I can hear the weight in his voice. "She's involved in something serious." I open the folder and start reading. It's worse than I imagined. There are records of wire transfers to offshore accounts, communications with known criminals, and references to art deals that seem more like money laundering schemes. Emily's been using her art as a front for something illegal, something dangerous, and Enrique is right in the middle of it. "This is insane," I mutter, flipping through the pages. "She's not a criminal. She's an artist." Harris leans back in his chair, watching me carefully. "People can surprise you. She's been hiding a lot, and if you don't handle this carefully, it could blow up in your face." I sit there, stunned, the pieces starting to fit together in a way that makes me sick to my stomach. The hotel charge, the secret emails, the sudden departure, they're all part of this bigger, darker picture. Emily didn't just leave me, she escaped, and she's taken more than just our life together. She's taken money, secrets, and now I'm caught in the middle of whatever she's involved in. I spend the next few days in a fog, barely functioning, my mind consumed by the revelations. I can't stop thinking about how deep this goes, how much of our life was a lie. I can't trust anything anymore, not even my own memories. I start gathering everything I can, preparing for the inevitable divorce. But it's not just about the marriage anymore. It's about protecting myself, my assets, everything I've worked for. Emily's been one step ahead this whole time, and I can't afford to let her destroy what little I have left. I hire a lawyer, someone who specializes in high-stakes divorces, and I lay it all out for him, the affair, the secret accounts, the criminal connections. He's calm, methodical, and assures me we'll protect my interests. But I can see the concern in his eyes. He knows this won't be a clean break. Then one evening, I receive a letter in the mail. It's unmarked, no return address. I open it cautiously, my heart racing as I unfold the single sheet of paper. The message is brief, typed in bold letters, "Stop digging or you'll regret it." I stare at the words, my blood turning to ice. Someone knows what I've been doing, knows I've been looking into Emily's activities, and they want me to stop. I show the letter to Harris, my lawyer, and they both react with the same mix of concern and frustration. "You've stirred up a hornet's nest," Harris says. "These people don't mess around. My lawyer is more direct. This could be dangerous. You need to think carefully about how you proceed. I'm torn between fear and anger. I've lost my wife, my sense of security, and now I'm being threatened for simply trying to understand the truth. But I can't stop. I need to know what's really going on, no matter the cost. The next few days are a blur of meetings, phone calls, and sleepless nights. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, feeling like someone is watching me, waiting for me to slip up. I start noticing strange cars parked near my house, unfamiliar faces in places where I shouldn't see them. Paranoia grips me, and I don't know who to trust. Harris continues his investigation, but every lead seems to take us deeper into a web of deception and danger. Emily's activities are connected to something much bigger than I anticipated, and I'm beginning to understand just how far she's willing to go to protect her new life. One night, as I'm going through more documents, trying to piece together the puzzle, my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer it anyway. A voice on the other end speaks low and menacing. "You've been warned. Walk away or it won't just be your marriage you lose." The line goes dead before I can respond, and I'm left staring at the phone, my hand trembling. The threat is clear, and it's not just directed at me. It's a promise of something worse, something final. I don't sleep that night, my mind racing with possibilities, fears, and the overwhelming sense that I've crossed a line I can't uncross. I'm in too deep, and the more I uncover, the more dangerous this game becomes. I'm caught between wanting to expose the truth and the fear that doing so will destroy everything I have left. I have to decide whether to pursue the truth or protect myself. I land in Madrid, my nerves on edge. I'm not sure what I expect to find, but I know I need answers. The threat, the lies, none of it makes sense until I confront Enrique face to face. As I step out into the bustling airport, the reality of what I'm doing hits me. I'm halfway across the world, chasing down the man who stole my wife and my life. It feels insane, but I can't stop now. The investigator gave me Enrique's address, a villa on the outskirts of the city. I take a cab there, my heart pounding as we drive through winding streets lined with ancient buildings. The city is beautiful, but I can't appreciate it. All I can think about is what I'll say to him, how I'll force him to tell me the truth. We arrive at the villa, a sprawling estate hidden behind high walls. I pay the driver and stand at the gate, trying to steady my breathing. It's now or never. I press the intercom, my hands shaking slightly. A voice crackles through, speaking rapid Spanish. I struggle to find the words, my high school Spanish failing me, so I switch to English. "I'm here to see Enrique. It's urgent." There's a pause, then the gate swings open. I walk up the long driveway, the crunch of gravel under my shoes the only sound. The villa looms ahead, its white walls stark against the bright blue sky. I feel a chill, despite the warm air. Enrique is waiting at the door, a smile on his face that doesn't reach his eyes. He's exactly as I imagined him. Tall, lean, with a certain arrogance in the way he holds himself. He extends a hand, but I ignore it. "John, I wasn't expecting you," he says, his voice smooth, dripping with false charm. "I'm sure you weren't," I reply, my voice cold. "We need to talk." He steps aside, gesturing for me to enter. I walk past him into the house, my eyes scanning the luxurious interior. It's clear he's done well for himself, but I'm not here to admire his wealth. We sit in a sunlit room overlooking a courtyard filled with flowers. It's too peaceful, too perfect. It feels wrong, like I'm in a dream I can't wake up from. "What brings you all the way to Spain, John?" Enrique asks, leaning back in his chair, his eyes fixed on me. "You know why I'm here," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "I want to know what's going on. The money, the threats. I need to know everything." He sighs, a hint of impatience flickering in his eyes. "John, I understand you're upset, but Emily made her choice. She wanted a different life, one that you couldn't give her. This isn't about our marriage," I snap. "It's about the crimes you're involved in, the money laundering, the shady deals. I know everything, and I'm not going to let you get away with it." Enrique's smile fades, replaced by a cold, calculating look. You should be careful, John. You're playing a dangerous game. You have no idea what you're getting into. I lean forward, anger boiling inside me. Maybe not, but I'm not backing down. You and Emily think you can just walk away from this, but I won't let you. You're going to pay for what you've done. He stands, his expression hardening. You're making a mistake. Leave now, and maybe I'll forget this little visit. But I don't move. I can't. I need to know the truth, even if it destroys me. What are you really doing, Enrique? Why did Emily get involved with you? What did you promise her? He stares at me for a long moment, then something in his demeanor shifts. He steps closer, his voice dropping to a low, menacing tone. You think this is just about money? It's much bigger than that. Emily knew what she was getting into. She made her choice, and so have you. Before I can respond, I hear a noise behind me. I turn, but it's too late. A sharp pain explodes at the back of my head, and everything goes black. When I come to, I'm lying on a cold stone floor in a dark room. My head throbs, and I feel a trickle of blood running down my neck. Panic sets in as I realize I've been kidnapped. I try to move, but my hands are bound behind me, and my legs are tied together. I'm trapped. The door creaks open, and a dim light filters in. Enrique steps inside, followed by two men I don't recognize. They're big, intimidating, and I know immediately that they're not here to talk. Enrique crouches down beside me, his face inches from mine. You should have stayed out of this, John. But now you're in too deep. I try to speak, but my mouth is dry, and the words won't come out. I'm terrified, more scared than I've ever been in my life. I realize that Enrique isn't just a lover. He's dangerous, a criminal who won't hesitate to do whatever it takes to protect his operation. He stands, signaling to the men. Make sure he doesn't leave this room, he orders, then walks out, leaving me alone with them. The next few hours are a blur of pain and fear. They beat me, demanding to know what I've uncovered. Who else knows about it? I try to resist, to hold out, but the pain is too much. I break, telling them everything, about the investigator, the files, the lawyer. They don't seem satisfied, and the beating continues until I'm barely conscious. Eventually they stop, leaving me crumpled on the floor, broken and bleeding. I don't know how much time passes, but I know I'm running out of it. If I don't get out of here soon, they'll kill me. I'm sure of it. I lie there fighting to stay awake, my mind racing. I have to get out of here. I have to survive. I can't let Emily and Enrique win. I can't let them get away with this. As I drift in and out of consciousness, I hear footsteps approaching. The door opens again, and for a moment, I think it's over. But then I see her, Emily, standing in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock. John, she whispers, rushing to my side. What have they done to you? I try to speak, but all that comes out is a pained groan. She touches my face, her hands trembling. I didn't want this. I never wanted this. She pulls out a knife, and for a terrifying moment, I think she's going to finish the job. But instead, she cuts through the ropes binding my hands and legs. We have to go, she says urgently. Now, before they come back. She helps me to my feet, but I'm too weak to stand on my own. She wraps her arm around me, supporting my weight as we stumble out of the room. My vision blurs, but I force myself to stay conscious. I have to make it out of here. We make our way through a maze of corridors, Emily leading the way. I can hear voices in the distance, shouting in Spanish. They're looking for us, and I know we don't have much time. We finally reach a door that leads outside. The cool night air hits me like a shock, and I take a deep breath, grateful to be out of that hellish place. Emily helps me into a car parked nearby, then gets behind the wheel. Where are we going? I manage to ask, my voice barely a whisper. Somewhere safe, she says, her voice trembling. I'll explain everything, but first we have to get out of here. As she drives, I feel the adrenaline start to fade, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion. I don't know if I can trust her, but right now, I don't have a choice. I close my eyes trying to hold on, but the darkness pulls me under. When I wake, I'm in a small, dimly lit room. The bed is uncomfortable, and my body aches all over. Emily is sitting in a chair by the window, staring out into the night. Emily, I croak, my throat raw. What's going on? Why are you helping me? She turns to face me, her eyes filled with tears. Because I never wanted this, John. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to help you get out of this, I swear. I want to believe her, but the doubt is still there, gnawing at me. She's lied to me before, betrayed me in the worst possible way. How can I trust her now? But as I look into her eyes, I see something I haven't seen in a long time. Remorse. Maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe she really does want to make things right. Or maybe this is just another lie, another layer of deception in the twisted game we've been playing. I don't know anymore. All I know is that I'm alive, and as long as I am, I have a chance to survive this. The room is dimly lit, the air heavy with tension. I'm lying on the bed, trying to make sense of everything that's happened. My body aches from the beating, but the pain in my chest is worse. The betrayal, the fear, the uncertainty. Emily sits across from me, her hands trembling as she pours a glass of water. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice cracking. I didn't want it to come to this. I sit up slowly, wincing as a sharp pain shoots through my ribs. You didn't want it to come to this? Emily, you left me. You chose him. And now what? You're trying to save me? She looks down, her eyes glistening with tears. I made a mistake, John. I was desperate, confused. Enrique, he promised me everything. A new life, freedom from the past. But I didn't realize what I was getting into. I feel a surge of anger, hot and blinding. You didn't realize? You were laundering money, Emily. You were involved with criminals, and now I'm the one paying the price. She reaches out, her hand hovering over mine, but I pull back. I can't stand the thought of her touch right now. She withdraws, her shoulders slumping as if she's carrying the weight of the world. I know, she says, her voice barely above a whisper, and I'm trying to make it right. That's why I came back for you. Came back? I laugh bitterly, the sound hollow in the small room. You mean after you left me to be beaten and possibly killed by your new friends? She flinches, and for a moment, I see the Emily I once knew. The woman I loved, the woman who made me believe in forever. But that woman is gone, replaced by someone I can't recognize. Someone who betrayed me in the worst possible way. I know I can't undo what I've done, she says, her voice trembling. But I can help you now. I can get you out of this. How? I ask, my voice flat, emotionless. How do you plan on getting us out of this? Do you even have a plan, or are we just running? She looks at me, her eyes filled with desperation. There's a safe house, a place where we can hide until I figure out what to do. But we have to leave now. They'll be looking for us. I don't trust her, not anymore. But I don't have a choice. I'm too weak to go it alone. And the thought of being caught by Enrique's men again sends a chill down my spine. I nod slowly, the decision made for me. She helps me to my feet, and we make our way out of the small apartment, moving quickly and quietly through the dark streets. The city is alive around us, but it feels like we're moving through a ghost town, invisible and unnoticed. The safe house is a rundown building on the outskirts of the city, a place where no one would think to look for us. We slip inside, the door creaking ominously as it closes behind us. The interior is as bleak as the exterior. Bare walls, a single flickering light, and a mattress on the floor. It's a far cry from the luxury I'm used to, but right now, it's the safest place we can be. Emily sits down on the mattress, her face pale and drawn. I can see the fear in her eyes, the guilt. She's trying to be strong, but she's as scared as I am, maybe more. We'll be safe here, she says, though her voice lacks conviction. I lean against the wall, my body heavy with exhaustion. And then what? We can't stay here forever. She looks up at me, her expression pleading. We just need time. I'm working on something, a way to get us out of this for good. But you have to trust me, John. Trust. The word feels foreign, almost laughable. How can I trust her after everything she's done? But what choice do I have? I'm too deep in this mess, too dependent on her for survival. Fine, I say, my voice rough with fatigue. But if you betray me again, I swear, I won't, she interrupts, her voice firm. I won't let them hurt you again. We sit in silence, the weight of our situation pressing down on us. I close my eyes, trying to block out the fear, the pain, the betrayal. But it's no use. The memories flood back, the images of what I've lost, what she's taken from me. I don't know how much time passes before she speaks again, her voice barely more than a whisper. Do you remember the first time we met? I open my eyes looking at her. She's staring at me, her expression softening as she waits for my answer. I nod slowly, the memory surfacing despite my best efforts to push it down. I remember, I say, my voice tinged with sadness. You were painting in the park, and I was on a run. You looked up at me, and I tripped over a rock. She smiles faintly, a shadow of the woman she used to be. You fell flat on your face. And you laughed, I say, the memory bringing a fleeting warmth to my chest. I did, she agrees, her eyes distant, lost in the past. But then I helped you up, and we talked for hours. You told me about your work, your cases. I told you about my art, my dreams. And then we got married, I finish, the warmth fading as reality crashes back in. We built a life together. But it was all a lie, wasn't it? No, she says quickly, her voice cracking. It wasn't a lie, John. I loved you. I still love you. But I got lost along the way. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But my feelings for you were always real. I want to believe her, but the doubt lingers, festering like an open wound. How can I trust anything she says after what she's done? But before I can respond, there's a noise outside, a car door slamming, footsteps approaching the building. Emily's eyes widen in fear, and she grabs my arm, pulling me to my feet. We have to go, she whispers urgently. Now! We move quickly, slipping out the back door and into the alley. The night is cold, and I can feel my heart pounding in my chest as we run through the shadows, our footsteps echoing in the silence. We reach the end of the alley, and Emily pulls me to a stop, her breathing ragged. We can't keep running like this, she says, her voice shaking. We need to end this. And how do you suggest we do that? I ask, my patience wearing thin. We're outnumbered, outgunned, and on the run. What's your plan, Emily? She looks at me, her eyes burning with determination. We turn them against each other. Enrique has enemies, people who want to see him fall. We use that to our advantage. And how do we do that? I ask, skeptical. I know people, she says, her voice low. People who can help us. But it's risky, John. We'll be walking a fine line. If we make one wrong move, she doesn't need to finish the sentence. I know what's at stake. My life, her life, everything hangs in the balance. But what choice do we have? We can't keep running forever. Sooner or later, they'll catch up to us. And when they do, there won't be any more second chances. Okay, I say finally, my voice steady. Let's do it. She nods and we start walking again, moving quickly through the dark streets, our footsteps silent, our hearts pounding. I don't know what's waiting for us at the end of this road, but I know one thing for sure. We're in this together, for better or for worse. As we move through the shadows, I can feel the tension between us shifting, the distance closing. There's something different in the way she looks at me now, something raw and desperate. It's like we're two people on the edge of a cliff, clinging to each other for survival. We find a place to rest, a small, abandoned building on the outskirts of the city. It's cold and damp, but it's safe for now. We sit down, our backs against the wall, our bodies close together. I can feel her warmth, the rise and fall of her chest as she breathes. She looks at me, her eyes dark with emotion. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice thick with guilt. For everything. I don't respond, but I reach out, my hand finding hers in the dark. It's a small gesture, but it's enough. For now, it's enough. As the night wears on, I feel the weight of our situation pressing down on me, but I also feel something else, a strange sense of calm. We're in this together for better or for worse, and whatever happens next, we'll face it as one. The courtroom is packed. The air is thick with tension, the kind that clings to your skin and makes it hard to breathe. I'm sitting at the plaintiff's table, My lawyer beside me, a mountain of documents spread out in front of us. Across the room, Emily sits with her defense team. She looks different, thinner, paler, as if the weight of everything has finally caught up to her. Her eyes meet mine for a brief second, and I see a flash of something. Remorse, maybe. But it's gone as quickly as it came. The trial has been brutal. Every detail of our life has been dragged into the light, dissected, and put on display for everyone to see. The media has had a field day with it, branding me as the wronged husband, the victim of a cold, calculating woman who got in too deep. But none of those headlines capture the reality of what I'm going through. None of them tell the full story, the betrayal, the lies, the way my life has been torn apart piece by piece. The prosecutor stands beginning his final arguments. I try to focus, to listen to every word, but my mind keeps drifting back to the last time I saw Emily before her arrest. The way she looked at me when they put the handcuffs on her, the silent plea in her eyes like she was begging me to understand. But I couldn't. I still can't. How could she do this? How could she destroy everything we built together? As the prosecutor lays out the evidence, the money laundering, the offshore accounts, the art deals that were nothing more than a front for criminal activity, I feel a cold knot of dread forming in my stomach. It's one thing to know about it, to see it in black and white on paper, but it's another to hear it spoken aloud in a courtroom, to see the impact it has on the jury. This is real. This is happening. Emily is going to prison, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. My lawyer leans over, whispering something in my ear, but I barely hear him. My eyes are locked on Emily, watching as the reality of her situation finally seems to hit her. She's scared, and for a moment I feel a pang of sympathy, but I push it away. She brought this on herself. She made her choices, and now she has to face the consequences. The prosecutor finishes, and the defense attorney takes his place. He tries to paint Emily as a victim, someone who was manipulated by Enrique, who was trapped in a situation she couldn't escape from. It's a good argument, and I can see it resonating with some of the jurors. But I know better. I know the truth. Emily wasn't an innocent bystander in all of this. She was an active participant. She knew what she was doing. When the closing arguments are over, the judge dismisses the jury to deliberate. The room empties out, but I stay in my seat, my mind racing. It feels like the world is closing in on me. The walls of the courtroom pressing down, suffocating me. I don't know what to do, where to go. Everything I thought I knew has been ripped away, and I'm left with nothing but the cold, hard truth of my situation. After what feels like hours, the jury returns. I can't read their expressions as they file in, but my heart is pounding in my chest, a steady, relentless beat that echoes in my ears. The judge asks for the verdict, and the foreman stands, his voice steady as he reads the words that seal Emily's fate. Guilty on all counts. There's a collective gasp from the gallery, a murmur of voices that rises and falls like a wave. I feel a strange sense of detachment, like I'm watching all of this happen to someone else. Emily's face is pale, her eyes wide with shock, but she doesn't cry. She just sits there staring straight ahead, as if she can't quite believe it. The judge thanks the jury, and then he looks at Emily, his expression stern. He starts talking about sentencing, about the seriousness of her crimes, and the need for justice. I hear the words, but they don't register. All I can think about is the woman I married, the woman who is now going to spend the next several years of her life behind bars. It's over. It's really over. As the judge hands down the sentence, 15 years with the possibility of parole after 10, I feel a strange mix of emotions. Relief, anger, sadness. But mostly I feel empty. This isn't the closure I wanted. It's not the resolution I thought it would be. There's no satisfaction in this, no victory. Just a hollow, aching void where my life used to be. Emily is led away, her hands cuffed in front of her. She glances back at me one last time, and for a moment I see the woman I fell in love with all those years ago. But then she's gone, swallowed up by the system, and I'm left standing alone in the courtroom, surrounded by people but feeling more isolated than ever. The weeks that follow are a blur. The media frenzy dies down, and I'm left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. I go through the motions, meetings with my lawyer, selling the house, settling the divorce, but it all feels meaningless. The life I had, the future I envisioned, it's all gone. I try to move on, to put it behind me, but it's not that simple. Emily's actions have consequences, consequences that I'm still dealing with. The legal battles over her assets are brutal, and the more we dig, the more corruption we uncover. Money tied to criminal activities, debts that I didn't even know existed. My career, once solid and stable, is now hanging by a thread as I'm dragged into the mess she left behind. But it's not just the legal battles that haunt me. Emily won't let me forget. She's in prison, but she's still trying to manipulate me, sending letters that are filled with veiled threats and cryptic messages. She's playing a game, even from behind bars, and I can't escape it. I open one of her letters, my hands trembling as I read the words scrawled across the page. You think it's over, but it's not. There's so much you don't know, so much that I haven't told you. Be careful, John. You're not as safe as you think. The letter is unsigned, but I know it's from her. It's her handwriting, her twisted way of keeping me on edge. I crumple the letter in my hand, anger boiling inside me. I want to be done with her, to put this all behind me, but she won't let me. I show the letter to my lawyer, but he just shakes his head. She's trying to get under your skin. Don't let her. You have to move on. But how can I move on when she's still holding on to me, still pulling the strings? I feel trapped, like I'm still caught in her web, even though she's behind bars. Days pass, and I try to focus on rebuilding my life, but the fear lingers, gnawing at the back of my mind. What does she know? What is she hiding? And why is she so confident that this isn't over? Then one morning I find another letter in my mailbox. It's different this time, not the usual threatening tone. It's a simple note, just a few words. There's something you need to see. Check the account we shared. My heart pounds as I read the words. I don't want to do it, don't want to give her the satisfaction, but I can't ignore it. I log into the account, my fingers trembling as I type in the password. There's a new deposit, a large sum of money that wasn't there before. I stare at the screen, my mind racing. Where did it come from? And what does it mean? As I sit there, staring at the numbers, I realize that this is far from over. Emily may be behind bars, but she's still playing the game. And now I'm caught in it again, pulled back into the nightmare that I thought I had escaped. I know I should walk away, let it go, but I can't. I need answers. I need to know what she's hiding, what she's planning. I need to know the truth, even if it destroys me. I close the laptop, my mind made up. I'm not running anymore. If Emily wants to play this game, then I'll play it too. But this time, I'm not going to let her win. A year has passed since the trial, but the memories are still fresh. I wake up every morning with a weight on my chest, a dull ache that never really goes away. My life has changed in ways I never imagined, and as much as I try to move on, the past clings to me like a shadow. I sold the house, left the city, and started over somewhere new, a small coastal town where no one knows my name, where I'm just another face in the crowd. It's peaceful here, quiet. The kind of place where you can disappear if you want to. And I do. I want to forget everything, erase the memories of Emily, of the life we had, and the chaos she brought into mine. But forgetting isn't as easy as I thought it would be. The town is quiet, but my mind isn't. I spend my days working odd jobs, anything to keep myself busy, to keep the thoughts at bay. But when the night comes and the world slows down, the memories come rushing back. The trial, the letters, the threats, and Emily, always Emily, lurking in the corners of my mind. I sit on the porch of my small rental, watching the waves crash against the shore, a beer in my hand. The sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the water, but I don't feel it. I'm numb, lost in thoughts that won't leave me alone. I think about the last letter Emily sent me, the one with the cryptic message about another secret. I never found out what she meant by it, and part of me doesn't want to know. I've had enough of her games, enough of the lies. But another part of me, the part that can't let go, still wonders. What was she hiding? What did she want me to know? I take a long sip of my beer, trying to push the thoughts away, but they keep coming back. Maybe I'll never have the answers. Maybe that's the price I have to pay for everything that's happened. As the sky darkens, I get up and head inside, locking the door behind me. I've learned to be cautious, to never let my guard down, even here, especially here. I don't know who I can trust anymore. Don't know if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. I go through my nightly routine, dinner, a shower, then bed. But sleep doesn't come easily. It never does. I lie there in the dark, listening to the sound of the waves outside, trying to find some peace, some quiet in my mind. But it's elusive, always just out of reach. The next morning I wake up early, the first light of dawn creeping through the curtains. I drag myself out of bed, making coffee and staring out the window at the empty beach. It's a new day, but it feels the same as all the others. Empty, hollow. As I'm finishing my coffee, there's a knock at the door. It startles me, sending a jolt of anxiety through my chest. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hesitate for a moment, then set the mug down and walk to the door. I open it slowly, my heart pounding, but there's no one there. Just the morning breeze and the sound of the waves. I step outside, looking around, but the street is empty. Then I see it, a postcard lying on the doormat, face down. I pick it up, my hands trembling, and flip it over. The front is a picture of the beach, one that looks familiar, but I can't quite place it. I turn it over, and my blood runs cold. There's a single word written in the middle of the card, in handwriting I know all too well. Soon. I stare at the word, my mind racing. It's postmarked from Spain. Emily. It has to be her, but how? She's in prison. She can't reach me here. She shouldn't be able to reach me. But here it is, the proof in my hands. She hasn't forgotten me. She's still playing her game, still trying to pull me back in. I feel a wave of anger, of fear, of frustration, all mixing together until I can't tell one from the other. I crumple the postcard in my fist, throwing it on the ground. I want to scream, to tear something apart, but I force myself to stay calm. I can't let her win. Not again. But what does this mean? What is she planning, and why now? I sit down on the steps, my head in my hands, trying to make sense of it all. I thought I was done with this, done with her, but it seems I was wrong. She's still out there, still holding on to something, still keeping me in her sights. The sun is rising now, casting a pale light over the beach. I watch it, feeling the cold breeze on my skin, the weight of the postcard heavy in my mind. I don't know what to do, don't know how to move forward from this. But I can't stay here, waiting for her to make her next move. I have to do something, anything, to take control of my life again. I stand up, the decision forming in my mind. I won't let her control me, won't let her pull me back into her twisted world. I'll find out what she's planning, what she's hiding, and I'll end this once and for all. I walk back inside, closing the door behind me. The postcard is still lying on the steps, but I don't look at it. I can't. I won't give her that power over me. But as I close the door, a part of me knows that this isn't over. It won't be over until I face her again, until I find out the truth, no matter how much it costs me. And deep down, I know that day is coming. Soon.